conducting this seminar, or what is the need for conducting such a seminar? The reason is because scientists are telling us that we are living in the most precious time in the history of Earth and in the history of Indian and any civilization. And we are becoming aware of the ancient wisdom which has the potential to transcend and transform our life from worst condition to a phenomenal position. Now, to unleash this technology of this ancient wisdom, we first have to understand how it works. And science tells us how it works. Then we have to implement it in our own life and get a phenomenal results. When I first realized that I have the power inside my body to change my life from worst condition to phenomenal position, I started doing some experiments with it. I decided to put some goals in my goal list and check whether it works or not. Surprisingly, I accomplished approximately 70% of them. And this is quite dazzling for me. Then I keep on repeating these goal setting exercises from second year until now, and every time I accomplish at least 60 to 70% of them. Now I thought that there is something behind it and I need to understand it in the scientific domain. Because I'm an engineer, I have to understand what is going in the background. I think most of you have watched the movie The Secret, okay? How many of you have watched the movie The Secret, The Law of Attraction? A couple. My question is, how many of you really believe in that stuff? Very few. Now, why don't we believe in this? The reason is because there is no scientific evidence, there is no scientific proof which support the claim that it works. So being motivated by it, I started writing my own autobiography. And what I did, what I felt in every day of my life from the past 2 years back, I wrote down everything so that I can understand what is going in the scientific domain. Now, when I getting results from my goal list every time, I decided that there is something that is happening in our unconscious brain. Our subconscious brain is doing something which we cannot understand until I realized that this technology is being used by our ancient traditional people. If you believe in civilization, different civilization. And they have, and I am unconsciously using some traces of it, a tip of the iceberg of it, just by using a simple goal setting exercise. And this technology, let me tell you, it is used by every professional and personal development company. You take any company, all said that you must write your goals to achieve them. But how the science is working, to understand that, I started writing a book for past 2 years. And before I'm writing this autobiography, I didn't realize that one day it will turn into a book and you'll see unknown mysteries revealed. So I want all of you to achieve anything you want in your life. Just by understanding first the science, how it works, so that because you are engineers, okay, you understand the scientific domain. You don't understand if I just give you some hypothetical words. So first I will show you the experiments, the results, which are very recently, and let me tell you, this science is not in the mainstream media. It's not in our academic books, number one. And this science is becoming the part of our daily life, which we are lives, but we are completely unconscious about. So let's begin the journey with me in this unknown mysteries revealed. Now, does science, which we know till now, can solve all of our daily life problems? How many of you really think that the science which we know can solve all your daily life problems? From daily life, I mean all your daily life stuff. Question number 2. Is there any secret science available to solve all our daily life problems? And question number 3. If this new technology works, let's explore it and use it in your life to get amazing results. Alright? Now this is a brief introduction to my book, what I did. First, I go through the scientific analysis or the quantum level of the miracles which every ancient culture claimed to talk and believe. Then the examples endorsing the miracles, I wrote it down, and the results I got in my life after implementing some of the sacred concepts of ancient science, either unintentionally or intentionally. And finally, the skills needed. Now this is for you. This is most important for all of us. The skills needed to use this technology and get anything you want in your life. Now, do you know that our sun and our star, Sirius, I don't know most of you are familiar with this star Sirius, it's in the right, in the red spot, and this yellow spot is our sun, and they form a binary star. And it is believed that this distance between this Sirius star, red as you can see, and this yellow, when they move in that elliptical orbit, it's like an elliptical orbit, and when they come closer to each other, our consciousness increases. And the civilization, whether you call it Satyug, Kalyug, Dwapar or Kalyug. And in English, you have Golden Age, Bronze Age, Silver Age, and Iron Age. All are depending upon the relative distance between the sun and the star. So this is the cycle of our sun actually. In our Milky Way galaxy, if you see, our sun is not a constant, stationary star. Just like our earth revolves around the sun also revolves. So based on the relative distance, we have Golden Age in India. In Indian tradition, we call it Satyug. Silver Age, we have Treta Yug. In Bronze Age, we have Dwapar Yug. And in the Iron Age, we call it Kali Yug. And you know what is most interesting? Scientists have recently had experiments and found that our sun is entering from Iron Age to Bronze Age. And when this happens, there is a drastic increase in our consciousness. Our consciousness enhances. You see that now lots of technology are building up. Science has reached a great level because of this same concept. A radical change of human consciousness has appeared just when we process December 21, 2012. And most of people in the Mayan calendar, we call it Apocalypse, the day where Earth ends, every civilization ends. But nothing happens in that day. But something did happen. And what happened is that our consciousness enhances on December 21, 2012. And it was a coincidence that it was during this time when the journey with my book, The Unknown Mysteries Revealed, begins. So what we are going to see in the seminar, first of all, we'll explore the limitations of the science and the causes of such limitation. Can you back it? One step more. One step more. Okay. And then explore the new scientific experiments which shows that we are more powerful than we think till now. Then we will explore the reasons for not using this hidden power which are used by our ancient Indian people. And then we'll explore the miracles which occurred unconsciously in our life and its relation to this new science. Then finally, how I use this new science and got astonishing results in my life, and how can anyone use this technology and get anything you wish in your life. Now this is example number one. It is a famous example. The scientists are what they are doing. They take a photon gun, and photon is something, it is a quantum particle. It is a stuff which our world is made of, right? So they are experimenting with the reality now. So the scientists, they take a photon gun and they have a slit. They shoot one photon at a time. One photon at a time. The photon behaves as a particle, all are happy. It was a good experiment. It strikes the screen, it behaves as a particle, all are happy. Now, the scientists decided to take two slits and see what happens to a photon. Now, if we talk about in mechanical, conventional Newtonian mechanics, if you fire a ball and you have two slits, they are two probability. Either the ball will pass through one slit or the other. So they decided the same exactly because the photons are behaving as a particle. So they thought when they will pass into two slits, they will get two bands. But look what happens. Instead of getting two patches of band, they get different patches of band separated by a fixed amount. And we have all studied in our plus 2 level, it is called interference, right? They don't understand why it happens. So it is an unresolved mystery, and this is the birth of the quantum physics, which we are going to talk now. So the photon behaves as a particle. In the measurement stream, the photon acts like a wave. This is completely mind-boggling because how it happens? Now, one of the scientists was very clever. He said, okay, I want to see what is happening in this double slits. He put two detectors, one on the top, other on the bottom, because there are two possibilities for the photon to pass, to check what is happening at the detector, at the double slit level. And you see, what happens is more powerful than this experiment. You see what happens. So this is the experimentation. It passes the photon through two detectors, and the photon behaves as a particle. This only get two patches. It means one photon pass at a one slit at a time. What is this? This is completely unresolved mystery because they are saying that they are putting the detectors to look at the photon when it is passing through the slits. It behaves as a particle. And this means the scientist comes to the conclusion that the photon are behaving as a particle, and it is the observer. It is the observer which is affecting the results of the experiments. What it means is that we have something inside our bodies. We have something inside our bodies that is affecting the reality, and we are not conscious about it. It is a very powerful experiment, and it is a powerful experiment up till now. Scientists till now didn't understand why this happens. Now this is example number 2. Now we are exploring the limitation of science. Just to remind you, in 1927, the 5th Soviet Conference on Quantum Mechanics, NIT and Heisenberg presented the paper to the Albert Einstein, stating that the minds of the researcher were affecting the angular momentum of the electron. This was because different data were coming when different scientists are performing the experiments. And finally, the data was always random and cannot be quantified by mathematical means. It means that it is the observer, it is the act of us observing the universe creates a reality. Very powerful experiment. So here is Einstein and Niels Bohr. They are discussing about it and they are asking a question. Does human consciousness affect the matter? A very powerful question. And do you know that Einstein attempts failed to quantify the quantum physics with the theory of relativity because of what Max Planck said. Max Planck said, science cannot solve the ultimate mystery of nature because in the last analysis, we ourselves are part of the mystery that we are trying to solve. It means you cannot solve the mystery because in the mystery you are also observing the universe. Very powerful line. Now we have to define what is consciousness. Okay? So consciousness is this. Ancient Indian people always associate consciousness with belief. And they say that belief is equal to thoughts and emotions. Now this is a traditional Sanskrit text photo in which you can have different chakras. They talk about chakras. We have in all total 7 chakras. They said our thoughts happens in our upper chakras, right there. In the red you can see. They say that our emotions happens in our lower part. And the thoughts and emotion, they become one in a place which is called the heart chakra. So our belief about our world, our belief about our reality actually happens in our heart. It does not happen in our mind, it does not happen in our lower part, it happens in our heart. So they are telling us that there is something in our heart which has the power to transcend our life, to transform our life, because your belief is depending on your consciousness, and belief is generated in your heart, not in your mind. So belief and feelings are generated in your hearts. Now, we have been told by our academic science that our belief has nothing to do with our daily life. Do you believe that our belief has nothing to do in our daily life? No. Recent scientific experiments are suggesting that consciousness is linked with our belief, and we'll see the experiments which tells us that it's correct. Now, how I feel consciousness from engineering point of view. Now, I think you're going to like now what the science we are saying. You know, when we were in 8th class, 9th class, and 10th class, we were told that atom is made of some things like protons, and there are some things which revolves around the proton we call electrons, and this is the structure which atoms we know, right? I think that our consciousness is nothing more than sharing of information. And this sharing of information is done by electric and magnetic waves, because the scientists are now telling us that our atom is no longer made of electrons, these are waves. And you know what type of waves? Standing waves. Each atom in your body, in fact, is sharing information with one another. It is communicating because it is generating standing waves. They are generating electric and magnetic waves. And this is what our consciousness is. Individual atom is not aware of what he is doing, but if you have a collection of 3 atoms, there is some degree of consciousness which appears. Now, this is the deep secret. Consciousness only exists for the system and not its component. Its meaning thereby, we have an atom, from atom we have DNA, from DNA we have chromosomes, from chromosomes we have cell, from cell we are born with cells, right? So, every cell in your body is talking to each other, but it didn't realize it, but you know that, right? You know that there are some cells which are dedicated to particular activity, just because the system is conscious, but individual cells are not conscious. Now, this is the most powerful definition of consciousness which I came across in my life. Here is the system. Now we talk about Earth, right? All of you are sitting collectively making a system. It's conscious, but individuals are not. The deep secret is that we are talking to each other, but we do not realize since we are part of the system. It means that the conscious system is itself conscious, like the Earth, but you don't realize it because you are not the part of the system. And we are going to see in the scientific domain what is happening, how we are communicating with each other. Do you know that scientists have found that internet is itself conscious, but individual computers are not. Now this is for the CSE people, they can understand well better it is. Now, Eugene P. Wigner received a Nobel Prize in Physics in Quantum Mechanics. He said, will remain remarkable in whatever way our future concepts may develop that the very study of the external world led to the scientific conclusion that the content of the consciousness is the ultimate universal reality. This is very complex. What he's saying is that it is our consciousness which creates reality in our universe. Now, what is the cause or limitation of this experiment, or double-slit experiment? It is like if you want to explain the 3-dimensional object, okay, in 2-dimensional. Can you do it? No, we cannot do that, right? We cannot get the information of the 3-dimensional object just by projecting it in 2 dimensions. We have to define another dimension. And that another dimension is what the ancient people has always taught us. It's what the science which we forgotten actually, right? Now this is example number 2. Darwin said, in the struggle for the survival, the fittest win out at the expense of their rivals because they succeeded in adapting themselves best to the environment. What he's saying is that survival of the strongest, right? But you know that scientists are now coming to a conclusion that this theory is going to be failed now. This is a false fact. Look, even Darwin in 1859 published his book, but he said, when new discoveries overturn his theory, then new discovery will become the part of the new theory. And this new theory is what we are going to talk in this seminar. Now, causes or limitation of Darwin theory. Now, these are some experimental facts. 400 new scientific studies are telling us that the ideal amount of violent competition in any classroom, in any environment, in any workplace, in any family is zero. Violent competition is always destructive. We have been given false belief. If you have seen in the movie The Three Idiots, if you will not run, you will leave behind. That is a false belief. And it is causing economic crisis, terrorist activities, number of diseases are appearing which we have never seen in our past. If you talk about your mother and your father, they have never seen such diseases which we are now encountering because of the wrong belief which we have right now. Now we are going to explore the new scientific experiments which shows that we are more powerful than we think till now. Now this is the experiment number 1 on Heart Math Institute. This Heart Math Institute, does anyone of you know what it is about? Okay, some of you know, right? Now this Heart Math Institute is completely devoting to the study of human heart for the past 20 years. And they conducted innumerable amount of experiments on heart to check whether there is something inside our heart which has the potential to change our life. Now, they conducted an experimentation on the DNA. So they want to see whether human intention, whether human consciousness has the ability to change the DNA, the double helix, if you understand DNA as a double helix. So is it possible that we intentionally can change the DNA of human beings? And you know what happened? In the trials, individuals practiced hard math techniques, but interested to generate feeling of love and appreciation. Now, love and appreciation are the feelings, and it generates in the heart, as our ancient people has told us. While holding a specific intention, cause the DNA to change it, either relax it or contract it. And do you know that when the DNA is contracted, our immune system suffers. Our DHA levels are low. We suffer from diseases. And when the DNA is relaxed, our immune system is strong. We are healthier. Now this is the experimentation. They conducted a UV spectroscopy analysis in which they take a frequency variation. They take a wavelength from 230 to 310. They take a sample of DNA. So they are testing with human life, right? So in this experiment, the participants generating heart coherence and intending to increase the binding of DNA, contracting of DNA, and was located 1/2 mile away from the DNA sample. It means the participants who are intentionally changing the DNA are 1/2 mile away. There is no physical contact. The decrease in the absorption at 260 nanometer observed in the after spectrum related to before spectrum indicate that increased binding of DNA data. So what happens is that there is a shift. If you can see the dotted line, it shows before the experiment, and the black bold line is the result after the experiment. So if there is a variation in the absorption, it means there is a variation in the band gap energy. And if there is a variation in the band gap energy, it means the DNA position has changed. Because if you put strain on any material, its band gap energy increases and it causes change in the transmission of electrons. It's a powerful experiment. Now look at the other experiment. This time they want to unwind the DNA. It means relax the DNA. And you will see that the participant are holding the intention for the DNA to further unwind it. The increase in the absorption at 260 nanometer. Now you can see that the graph shifts above. Before it shifts below, now it shifts above. Indicate that the further denaturing or unwinding of the DNA did occur. Now what is more interesting which I like is this. The change in the DNA conformation observed in this trial was 3 times larger than which could be produced by any maximum thermal or mechanical perturbation in the lab. This suggests there is something inside our heart which is causing this change in the DNA. And all what we are doing is generating a belief, a feeling, an intention, and nothing more than that. And in the further seminar, as we continue, you will see how it is happening. You will see the physical belief. You will see the waves which is causing this happening. Now, in some cases, the change in the DNA was up to 25%, indicating a very robust effect. Thus, the data presented here support the concept that cell-level processes can be influenced just by human intention, mediated via energetic interaction. So it is suggesting that human intention has the power to change the cell-level process. But how it is happening, that is a mystery. And this is the mystery which our ancient people knew. And they have lived their life based on this technology. And this is the power that they've been able to live their life for 200, 300, 400 years. And we only live our life up to 80 to 90 years. The same concept. Now this is experiment number 2. The famous water experiment by Dr. Rachit Joshi. He conducted an experiment on water. And you know our body is 90% made up of water, right? So Dr. Rachit Joshi research demonstrates that human vibrational energy, thoughts, words, ideas, and music affect the molecular structure of water. So when they have a feeling, and all they are doing is generating a feeling from their heart. So there is something powerful inside our heart. So when the water molecule before offering up prayer is like this, you can see in the yellow screen. Water molecule after offering up prayer, you see when they say thank you, that water structure changes. You make me sick, I will kill you. Look at the water structure. And love and appreciation, it is completely different. It means if we are frustrated, what the hell we are doing with our bodies, and if we are having a love and appreciation, we have a powerful immune system. Now this is experiment number 3. It is a study of human intention by Dr. William A. Taylor. I don't know most of you are familiar with William A. Taylor work. He performed the experiment again on water and checked is it possible that we can increase the pH or decrease the pH of the water just by having an intention, okay, in our mind to change it. And they recorded that it is possible for a consciousness to be measured by some electrical equipment. So in this experiment, the practitioner was asked to intentionally increase or decrease the pH of water. The host devices stored the consciousness and it was taken away to the lab. They turned on the device at 10 locations, different locations in Europe and USA. And you know what happens? Every time they turn the device on, the pH of the water changes in accordance with the intention. Now this is the first time when we are able to measure, the consciousness of human being. And it is a very powerful experiment. It was when the same experiment were repeated and over that it really become effective. Taylor has found that when intent is repeated in the same space, eventually it becomes permanent. What he says is that when the equipment was completely turned on again and again, at one time what happens is that the pH of the water remained undisturbed, and when that happens, the laws of physics we know now in that space no longer operate as they did before. It means there is something beyond physics which we don't realize, and it lives in every human being. They say there are 2 possibilities. One is quantum possibility, other one is reality. He said the quantum possibility is depending on magnetic information. It exists as a form of wave. He said the reality exists as electric atom or at a molecular level. And now, I hope you are going to like this equation because this is the first time when the scientists have formulated an equation for our human consciousness. I like this equation. They say QMP is the magnitude of any material property measurement, whether you're measuring the temperature, the pH, humidity, anything. They say that QE is the magnitude for our normal electric atomic molecular level, which means our reality. And QM, it is the magnitude for the magnetic vacuum level, means our quantum possibility. And this alpha effective, this is very complex, what he is trying to say is that alpha effective is the measurement of the degree of consciousness in our heart, which has the ability to change our reality, which we know till now. This is the first time that scientists are saying that you can change your physical reality just by having this alpha effective. And this alpha effective is different for different human beings. And what we are going to do in this seminar, we are going to understand how to increase the value of our alpha effective so that we can bring this quantum possibility in our life. He said that there are three levels of physics. First is conventional, second is translational, and third is the new physics. And we're going to talk about this new physics. He said with the passage of time from normal condition QM0, there's a shift in it and it gets to enhanced condition, and finally our result is based on critical enhanced condition. Now this is experiment number 4. Global Consciousness Project by Dr. PhD Roger Nelson. Now they performed an experiment to check whether human consciousness has the ability to predict the future. They know that, as I've seen earlier, that double-slit experiment, right? Our consciousness is affecting our reality. It means that we can make devices which can measure the human consciousness, and we call it the concept of electron tunneling. So this is the device based on quantum tunneling effect. I don't know most of you are familiar with this concept or not. So in quantum tunneling effect, what happens is that electron crosses the barrier potential, and there is a very less amount of probability, but still it happens. And this concept is used in high voltage engineering, the same theory which we applied breakdown in vacuum in cold emission, and also in vacuum, right? So this on the left screen you can see a white spot there. This is the diode basically, and in between you have a barrier potential. So the electron, we cannot cross this barrier, but somehow some electron gets crossed it. And when the barrier potential increases to a certain value, they call it 1. Or if it is below a certain threshold level, they call it 0. So they are generating some bits numbers. And what they're trying to achieve is that is it possible that we can force the electron, okay, to pass from this barrier just by having an intention. So when it will force, you get large number of ones and small number of zeros. So we get an order in our bits, right? Now, this experiment is powerful, Global Consciousness Project, because you know that in September 11, 2001, the World Trade Center was struck with the calamity in America, right? So they found that just before September 2011 has occurred, there is a change in the orderness of the number of bits of zeros and ones which the random number generator is generating. It become aligned. It became aligned just in 10:30 a.m. That is the point where the World Trade Center was destroyed. And just before it, you can see at 5 p.m. there is a shift in the peak of this. You can see that these are random numbers, and then there is a shift. It becomes ordered and aligned, suggesting that we have the ability. We have the ability to predict the future calamities, outcome. And this is not just for September 11. You can take any example. Whenever the human consciousness all gets aligned, like in magnetics, if you want to magnetize any material like iron, when all the domains of the atoms get aligned to one direction, we get a magnetization. Similarly, when all the human consciousness get aligned in one direction, we can have the ability to predict the future. And this is the ancient technology which our ancient people knew it, and they had the ability to predict the future based on the same concept, just measuring the consciousness. Now, this is a book by Dr. Bruce Lipton. Dr. Bruce Lipton worked on biology of belief, same concept, unleashing the power of consciousness, matter, and miracles. What he said in this book, The Biology of Belief, he said that human DNA, as I showed you earlier, can be altered by our belief. If you have seen the concept of placebo effect, it is the same concept, but how it is happening, this is the biology, how it is happening in the physical domain, we are going to see after a couple of times. Now, some of the experiments conducted in NIT Hamirpur. Now, when I become attracted and fascinated by this, I thought, let's explore it in our own college. We have a laboratory, we can do UV spectroscopy, like the Heart Institutes were doing in America. So, to see whether the effect of meditation, under meditation, all the consciousness gets aligned. Breathing exercises, like in Art of Living, as seen in Sudarshan Kriya, on the physical world. So, is it possible that our consciousness can be enhanced by meditation? And to see the effect of meditation in boosting the intention of human for enhanced results. And now we are going to see a very powerful experiment because it literally shocks me. Look at this. This is the most phenomenal experiment because it tells us that we really have an ability to change the world we see. So what we did, we take a simple tap water, it's shown in the red color. We take another simple tap water, but we put it under meditation. Okay? You can see it in the black, we call it Kriya intention water with small distance. And we ask the participants who are doing meditation to believe in their mind as if the water angle is increasing. So we place the water where the meditation is going on, and we ask the participants to believe in their mind, in their heart, as if the water angle is increasing. Now it's quite funny, right? Because if someone is doing this, first of all, he will be completely dazzled. Why should I do it, right? But we somehow convince them that it will work, and look at the results. The black curve you can see at 450 nanometer. Or 460 nanometer. The black curve shows an absorption of 0.065 at 460 nanometer, where I asked the participants to imagine the water angle is increasing. And on the red curve, its absorption is 0.198. And if you calculate from calculator the shift, it is approximately 70%. And you know that the same concept I showed you earlier, that the Heart Institute performed exactly the same experiments, and they found that the DNA can be changed, the unwinding or winding of DNA can be changed just by having an intention. And similarly, you can see there is a shift in our absorption at 460 nanometer, suggesting that we have an ability to change the water angle. And you see, in the blue curve is the Kriya intention water with small distance. So in the blue curve, Kriya non-intention water. So this time the participants are not allowed to know. It means the experiment was going on and they were not aware of that the water is there. So there is a shift from the normal level. But the shift is very small. Look at the difference. Very small difference. When the participants are not conscious that there is a water sample there, their shift is there, but the shift is very little, it's very small. But when the participants are allowed it, that there is a water and you have to change it, the shift is very large, suggesting that meditation practice has an ability to enhance our consciousness. And this is what we are measuring by this experiment. So it is the consciousness which is indirectly measured by all these experiments. The result shows that we have the power to affect both our biological and physical world if we understand how to use this hidden science. Now, Max Planck said all matter originates and exists by virtue of a force. He said there is a force. we must assume behind this force is the existence of a conscious mind and intelligent mind. He said, the mind is the matrix of all matter. If you have watched the movie, The Matrix, there's where the concept of the matrix comes from. So what he's saying, the same thing, that it is a consciousness which is creating our reality. Now, let's have a correlation between the human consciousness and our heart. As our ancient people have always said, you know that heart sends more information to the brain than it receives. So this is our heart, and this is the neurons of our brain. Now, these are the electromagnetic field of the heart. Do you know that our heart produces the strongest electric waves that is 100 times stronger than our brain? People said the brain is stronger. No, our heart is producing the wave that is electric field that is 100 times stronger. Our heart magnetic wave is up to 5,000 times stronger than the brain. The most shocking discovery is that these waves are standing waves. It means that if I am standing right in front of you, I am generating an electromagnetic waves which are standing waves, and it will interact to all of you. It also means that all the people who are sitting in the seminar are communicating with each other unconsciously with these EM waves. And you know what is most remarkable? The consciousness is encoded in these heart EM waves. Very powerful. And this is what our ancient people are telling us, that our heart has an ability to transcend and transform our life, and all we have to do is generate a feeling. And you know what is happening on the physics level? Our EM waves are changing accordingly and interacting with our human body. These waves are penetrating every cell of your body and beyond of the body. The biological effect of EM waves, and now I think you are going to appreciate the experiments I shared earlier. Your DNA is like an antenna. It's communicating with these EM waves generated by you and also by others. And this is the same reason why we have seen that when human intention is there to change the DNA shape, it changes. When the clear water is there and we ask the participants to change the angle of the water, it happens because the physical effect of EM waves is also there. You know, we all know that atom is made up of waves, right? These are standing waves. And what is most surprisingly is that our heart is also generating a wave that are standing waves, meaning we have the ability to affect our physical world. And you see that in the squid-based magnetometer, we can detect this heart EM waves up to 2 to 3 feet beyond a person. It means if you two people are sitting or all of you are sitting with each other, you are interacting with this heart EM waves. And there is a concept in physics, if you change the electric field of an atom, you change the atom behavior, and we call it Stark effect. If you change the magnetic field of an atom, you change the atom behavior properties, and we call it Zeeman effect. So the variation in the water angle, all the variation in the DNA, the ability, the work by Bruce Lipton, William A. Tiller, all are suggesting to one point that our heart is actually changing not only our biology, but also our physical world. So we have an ability to speak to the universe, both physically and biologically. Now, heart communication. Our heart is sending waves of information to our brain. And these are the electric waves generated by our heart. And the Institute of Heart Math has measured these waves. They say that the heart is having an appreciation, love, joy, which is happening in our heart. Look at the waves, they become sinusoidal. So we are sending sinusoidal waves to our brain. And what happens? Our brain functions enhanced. There is a high degree of working of brain. Our neurons fires at a higher rate. our immune system becomes stronger just by having a pure sinusoidal wave. And we are having a frustration, jealous, rage, anger. They look at the heart waves. If you calculate the FFT analysis, you will find that there are a number of harmonics present in this zigzag wave, and it inhibits our brain functioning. Our brain cortisol level decreases, our brain power to work at a better and higher level decreases. And all we have to do is just generate a feeling of gratitude and appreciation. Now this is the TEDx. If you see that, is a person who is it is a CEO of Heart Math Institute, and he has made a device called EM wave technology. And you know what is surprisingly for me? We ancient people knew this technology thousands of years ago. And this institute has recently used this, patented, and now we are out of the competition. Because now we cannot patent it. And this is our own Indian technology, where in USA they are using. So they put a detector, as you can see, this man is having a detector in his hand, and it is measuring the EM waves generated by his heart. And you can see in the screen that there is a sinusoidal waves generated after some ripples. And these ripples are because this girl which is there, she is nervous. And the nervousness is causing the waves to become zigzag, you can see the top. And then it becomes sinusoidal. Then he asked the girl to generate a feeling of love and appreciation. Now this is the practical implementation, and this equipment is cost of crores, so we cannot purchase it, right? But it is still there. And what is most surprisingly for me is this. This EM-based technology is being used in academics in America. And they calculated the results. And look at the results. Our tiredness reduced to 27%. Our exhaustness reduced to 38%. I will not read every one of it, but you can see that this data shows that our academic level performance can be enhanced just by using this concept and technology. And this device, you can see that it is like a microphone type, and these are the waves which are generating, and they are now having a patent for it. And this is our technology, first of all. This is not a new technology. It's our Indian traditional technology which they are using by having an equipment. But we don't need that because our ancient people told us the power of meditation, and we know that. And we can use this, and we don't have to spend crores of money to buy such equipment and to check whether our heart is generating coherent sinusoidal waves or not. Now, these are the facts. Did you know that the human heart magnetic field can be measured several feet away from the body? Negative emotions can create nervous system chaos, but positive emotion do the opposite. Positive emotion can increase the brain ability to make good decisions. You can boost your immune system by focusing on positive emotion. Positive emotion creates psychological benefits in your body. And you know what is more intriguing for me is this. A mother's brain wave can synchronize to her baby's heartbeat even when they are few feet apart. This is very powerful. It means that our mother can recognize what is happening to a child even though they are few feet apart. How it is happening? The same concept. And you know, when I first come to this information that these EM waves extend to 2 to 3 feet, I thought, why it only stops at 2 to 3 feet? Why it doesn't get extended beyond 2 to 3 feet? And you know what happens? It means that our scientists are not having the equipment to measure it beyond 2 to 3 feet. But in reality, this field is so real, it extends beyond this hall, beyond this college, but we cannot measure it. We can have, our equipment are limited by that concept. And this is the same concept that most of you, I don't know how it happens, it happens to me as well, that when I'm in trouble, I sometimes got a call from mother, and mother asks me, are you okay? And this is just a coincidence, maybe, but there is a high degree of correlation between what it happens and when this result comes. Now, does human belief, feelings, have anything to do with the universe? And I think you all are masters to this question. The answer is yes. This is the new science of the 21st century, and we are becoming aware of it because I told earlier that we are entering from Iron Age to Bronze Age, and when this happens, human consciousness increases. Now, I don't know whether the questions come to your mind or not, but it dazzles me a lot. Why we are not using this power? So the question is, if this power is so real, and it is an ability to change our life, why we are not using this power? And do you know why? These are the reasons. The world did not want us to use and get access to this power because of fear. If this will happen, our society will collapse. You see what happened. Attempts made to condense this knowledge. First, a wrong belief about meditation practices followed in the ancient time. Second, scientists saying that your emotions and feelings have no effect outside the world. You are a speckless dust in the universe. And you know that these are false facts. The experiments conducted in different parts of the world by scientists are telling us that we are not a speckless dust. We are powerful creator, as our traditional Indian people have always said. We have a power to influence our life. And number third, deliberately making addicted to lifestyle, which reduce our power to significant level. And number of ancient books were condensed and edited which describe the power within every one of us. Now we are going to look at all these attempts which are made by the universe, by the world, so that we do not get access to this technology. Now, misinterpretation of the powerful knowledge by humans. Every religious, spiritual, and scientific powerful human, I know what you're talking about, born in this world, never said to become their followers. They never said that. To live an austere and to live a simple life. Their real message was to utilize your every second of your life for your personal and professional development by utilizing the powerful wisdom of human emotion. But we did the opposite. Now, the biggest mystery of the meditation word spoken by our Indian culture. Now I'm going to focus on this. You know, the sound of the sun is the most sacred sound because human here cannot hear it. Why? Because this ear is a filter, and it is a band pass filter. In electrical domain, if you have a band pass filter, you cannot hear any sound which is coming beyond the frequency band. So our human capacity is from 20 Hertz to 20,000 Hertz. The sound of the sun is both higher and lower than it, so we cannot hear it, right? NASA has actually recorded the actual sound of the sun in the deep space and compressed it in inaudible waves so that we can hear it. The sound was precisely the ancient Hindu had described it in the Vedas 1,000 years ago. And I will give you a clue.